It seems that everyone thinks just working less and resting more is the only way to treat burnout. Wrong. That's one solution to one type of burnout, but there's different types of burnouts and different ways to treat them. If you are just resting, you'll treat one of the reasons for burnout, but not the others. So in this video, I will explain 3 spiritual reasons for burnout that I've personally experienced and how to treat them. Each reason will get more and more esoteric, and hint, reason number 3 has to do with timelines, so stay tuned. Let's get started. Reason number 1 is the most obvious and what people normally think of as burnout, so I will go through this one pretty quickly. In this situation, energy is going out faster than energy coming in. It's not being replenished fast enough, and it's just not sustainable. So I will use cups to symbolize our energy reservoir. Our energy naturally gets refilled every night when we're sleeping. So let's say we start with a full cup, and then something in our life gets chaotic. Maybe your job gets crazier and you're just working a lot, or maybe you have to take care of a baby or a family member or a sick pet, and you just don't have a lot of time to rest and you are exerting a lot of energy. So let's say during the day you use half of that cup on all these things, and then at night you sleep and your energy gets refilled again to the brim. So your cup is full again. But then as it keeps going on, maybe you're resting less, you're sleeping less, the 8 hours a night becomes 7 or 6 or 5 hours a night. So then during the day, you start using more and more energy, and maybe it goes lower than half full. But then your cup only fills up to here. And then you use this much the next day. So you see where I'm going? Then that night maybe you sleep, but it only gets to half full. And then the next day you spend more energy on all the things that you have to do, and it just gets to the bottom. And then that night maybe you sleep, let's say 5 hours, and you're just not able to fill your cup, and it only goes up to here. And the next day, same thing, it goes down, maybe down all the way to the bottom, and you just have no energy left and you're just completely burnt out. You can't go on. This happened to me at one of my previous jobs where I was working 80 hours a week. This was during COVID and I was working from home, so there was zero work-life balance. I started working as soon as I woke up and worked until like 10 or 11 at night. I ate every single meal in front of the computer and pretty much didn't go outside at all. And I got burnt out within like 6 months, probably sooner, but the 6-month mark was when I realized, and I quit after a year. So the treatment for this one is simple. It's just rest, and it's the only reason in this video that can be solved by rest. A good way to manage your energy is to have a balance of filling and pouring out. Pour from your cup until it's half full and then stop and rest. For people that may have limiting beliefs related to resting, reframe your belief and understand that resting is productive. Resting is an action. It is the act of refilling your cup. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And if you want to learn more about getting energy or refilling your energy, you can watch my video about chakras, which I'll link in the video and in the description box. The second spiritual reason for burnout is that your energy is not coming from source, it's coming from ego. And when I say source, I mean God, the divine, all that is, whatever you believe in. If you remember from the last reason, the energy of being refilled each night was coming from above, and that signifies source. But in reason number 2, you are also getting energy from other people, and these cups are signifying other people. Getting energy from source is effortless. Getting energy from other people takes more effort. You have to use your own energy to pull energy. So what is the energy that we are trying to pull from other people? Typically, it's things like approval, validation, acceptance, recognition, and worth. By the way, whoever you're getting energy from, they might not have a full cup either. You don't know how much energy you're getting from each person. So let's say this person has half a cup, maybe this person has a full cup, maybe this person only has this much, this person has this much, maybe this person has this much, this person has this much, So you're getting energy, but you're spending a lot of energy to get who knows how much energy in return. The way we pull energy from others is through changing our looks, changing our behavior, or changing something about ourselves in a way that will get the other person or the other people to deem it worthy to give their attention to give their approval to give their validation to, etc., etc. However, the more you try to get X, Y, and Z energy from others, the more energy you have to exert to get it. And it's not a one-to-one ratio. It takes much more energy to try to pull the energy from other people than it is to sit at a desk, and send emails, to work in Excel or PowerPoint or whatever for 80 hours a week. This is an extreme and probably controversial example, but I'm thinking of the looks maxing people / subculture, and one guy in particular that is famous for it. He did so much to improve his appearance, like taking substances to get more muscular, to suppress his appetite, and even bone smashing to sculpt his face. He's doing all these things for people to think he's attractive, to impress people, to get people to do other things for him in return. And he's starting to feel the consequences of that now. It's spiritual burnout. It's not just physical things that take up our energy. It's also intangible things. Worrying uses energy. Being fearful uses energy. Feeling anxious, feeling doubt. All these things consume your energy even though you are not physically doing an action. Why do you think stress is a factor in almost every single disease? I also want to give a less extreme example from my personal life. I created a workshop to help people get unstuck and align with their highest path, and it took me about 1 month to create. I was working on it almost every single waking moment. I would wake up at 5 in the morning to work on this before I went to work. I worked at my regular job. I came home and I worked on this workshop pretty much until I went to bed. I ate like every meal in front of the computer again. I even stopped watching TV and hanging out with friends. I worked on it on Saturday and Sunday. I did this for about 1 month until I finished, but the surprising thing is that I didn't get burnt out because the energy I was using to create this workshop was coming from source. However, when it was time to start selling and marketing this workshop, I bought some courses from a business coach and was watching so many YouTube videos on selling digital products, and I was trying to do all the right things. Like they say for low ticket sales, you can just run ads on Instagram and just post every day and do this kind of content, do that kind of content. Boom, $1 million. I was trying to do all those things. I burnt out in 1 week. After working non-stop for a month, that one little week took me out, and I had to rest for an entire month. Okay, I wanted to show how you use energy in this scenario. So we exert a lot of energy to try to get all these things from people. Whatever energy we got from source, we use it in the form of changing our behavior to get attention, and this depletes our energy. Let's say someone wants to get a sense of worthiness from another person, from a parent, a partner, a boss, having a certain level of income, having a certain car or a certain type of house. This is big stuff. It is not just working at a desk, Also, when you worry, it takes energy away from you. When you're literally thinking about every possible thing that could go wrong, it takes up energy. Let's say you want recognition at work. This could be reason number 1 and reason number 2. You're not resting enough. The energy you're using to work may also be from your ego. So you're trying to do something, changing your natural state of being, changing your behavior to get recognition. That uses energy. Once you get energy from others, it's not like you're going to get this person's entire cup of energy. Who knows how much recognition you get, but you're not getting their entire energy reservoir. Maybe you're getting just a little bit. So the energy that you put out to get this doesn't equal what you get back. You get back way less. Like, they're not gonna be giving their entire cup to you, and if they do give it, then they also have a problem. That's a different kind of problem, and it's not burnout. Anyway, so that takes us to how to treat this kind of burnout. Step 1 is just to realize that the energy you are using is not coming from source. It's coming from ego, from other people's ego and from your ego. You're using ego energy to get ego energy back. And it's finite. This energy is not. It's infinite. Okay, now step 2, once you know that your energy is coming from ego, then figure out why. What does your ego gain from doing this? What kind of energy are you trying to pull from others? So in my case, I was trying to get validation that my workshop was good and worthy and valuable in the form of likes, follows, views. I didn't even think as much about the sales as I did about how many views I got on a reel. And the worry and stress was literally just draining my energy. And this is a loop. The more you need approval, validation, acceptance, whatever it may be, the more energy you exert to get that. Then the more drained you are, and the more of that validation or acceptance or whatever you need to get back to refill your cup again. And speaking of workshop, I have that linked in the description box in case you're interested. It's called Get Unstuck and Aligned with Your Highest Path. I share my exact steps to uncover my patterns and my subconscious beliefs. And it includes 2 meditations to help you realize your highest path, your highest timeline, and integrate it. So next is step 3, stop the cycle. Get that validation, that approval, that value, worth from yourself, from source, from the divine. It is simple, but I know it's easier said than done. Remember the core reason you wanted to do that thing in the first place and why. It's usually tied to your higher purpose or the timeline you're meant to be on. For me, the core reason why I started that workshop was to help people that are in a similar situation as me when I felt stuck in life. So I realized all these things and I treated this burnout by stopping posting on Instagram and trying to sell my workshop there. It just didn't resonate with me because the things that I like to talk about take more than 60 seconds to say. And that leads to burnout reason number 3. Before we go further, I wanted to introduce myself in case we haven't met yet. Hi, I'm Grace. My channel is all about spirituality, energy, and consciousness, and how it relates to our everyday life. So if you're interested in these topics and this video is helping you, please like it and subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this. And finally, the 3rd reason you could be burnt out is because the timeline you're on is short or you're not on the right path. This one needs a bit more explanation, and it may be more difficult than the others to discern, but you'll know this is the reason because you will also feel stuck in life. So while it's true that there are infinite timelines, we also have specific life paths that our soul chose before we came into this body, into this incarnation. These paths are the most likely timelines you will experience. So let's say this person was born to a particular set of parents in this particular city, whatever. They live there, they were born there, they grow up there for a few years, maybe their parents get divorced, and from there, they have to move to a different house or a different city with one of the parents. In that case, the timeline changes. You change to a different place. So maybe you go to a different city, a different school. I drew a few timelines just as an example. I'm not going to draw infinite timelines because we'll be here for infinity. But generally, there's like milestones that the soul wants to experience. There's soul contracts you have to fulfill. But depending on where you grew up, the family you're in, the way you look, the country you're in, the language you speak, it does have some overarching guardrails of what you do experience. Maybe you're born and then you live in one city and then your parents get divorced and then the timeline changes. You move to a different city with one of your parents. Maybe you go to college and then it changes to a different timeline without your parents, or like you're on your own. Let's say in this timeline, what if your parents stay together and then you just go to college and then you work, and maybe your work sends you to a different country and then that's another timeline. Within all this, there are smaller timelines that you could go on. They're like side roads or like a side quest in a video game that you can do or go on just for the fun of it. It doesn't have to lead anywhere. It's just an experience to have, and you can still learn a lot from it. But because it's a side quest, it ends, and then you have to go back to the main timeline. So one example of a short timeline is what I like to call the loop back timeline. It will naturally lead you back to the main path. You may feel like you went in a circle or like life brought you back to the original plan, but it doesn't really hurt you or harm you. It's just another experience to have. The other short timeline is what I like to call the dead end timeline. In this timeline, you may feel stuck, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, nowhere to go, don't know what to do with your life. It's like you hit a wall. You'll know this is the reason because you will just draw a blank. So because this is a short timeline and it doesn't lead anywhere, you will have to just go back to the main path. It may feel more uncomfortable than this loopback timeline because it may feel like you have to go backwards, whereas this loopback timeline, it just naturally veers into or back into the main path. This is exactly what happened to me when I tried to sell my workshop on Instagram. I hit this dead end timeline. I got a bunch of courses, listened to the business coaches, and tried to do exactly what they were telling me to do so I could replicate their success, which I believe them. I believe that that is all true, but it just didn't resonate with me, and I was trying to do something that was not for me. Deep down, I really just wanted to do YouTube. So when it came down to actually execute and to create the reels, the Instagram posts, whatever, I couldn't. It was like I had writer's block. I did have writer's block. I had no idea what to say, even though I had over 100 YouTube video ideas already. And I would dread working on my Instagram content. I would feel so resistant and get bored so easily. And when I would sit down to work, I would get tired so quickly. After a week, I realized it was because the timeline ends there. That's just not my path. When I am on the right path, I have so much creativity and so much energy to execute them because the energy is coming from source. I usually get so many downloads and intuitive nudges that tell me exactly what to do. But in this case, all of that stopped. And my higher self told me it's because there's no future there. There's nothing to download. So I went back to the main timeline, back to the original plan, which was YouTube. And when I switched to doing what I enjoy, the creativity came back because the creativity was coming from source. And I could feel my intuition again. So how do we treat this kind of burnout? Like the other reasons, first is recognition. Recognize the reason for your burnout. Recognize that you may not be on the right path. And then reflect. Retrace your steps and figure out at which point did you veer off course. What are you doing that's not aligned? Are you living a life the way other people tell you to, even though you don't like it and you know deep down it doesn't resonate with you? Are you working a job that has no future? Are you in a relationship that's going nowhere? Are you living in a place where you don't fit in? Recognize that and change it. And you can ask your soul for guidance on your highest path, how to get to your highest path. I also want to note that being on the loop back timeline or the dead end timeline is not a bad thing. Everything is an experience and you get to learn from it. Everything you learn here and here helps you on your path, no matter what. I learned so much about myself on this one teeny tiny little 1 week timeline and it gave me the idea for this video. So there you have it, the 3 spiritual reasons for burnout and how to treat them. If you want to dive deeper into timelines, I'm making a video to explain that more in depth. It's based off of what my higher self showed me, and I have never seen anyone else talk about it like this. So if it's already up on YouTube, I'll link it in this video and in the description. If not, you can watch my other videos about energy. Let me know in the comments if this video helped you to diagnose your burnout reasons and share your experience if you're comfortable, especially if you have an experience with reason number 3. I would love to hear that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!